It was a good process to be part of. We learned a lot, and we did our best. In the end, both Mark and myself are members of council, and we have to trust the people around the table, and that they make the right decision in their opinions and within their mandates to make a decision which is in the best interest of World Rugby. France has hosted a very successful World Cup previously. If you read the report, they had a very strong bid. They've got a good financial proposition, they've got good stadiums, and they've got good infrastructure. So we were obviously hopeful, given the fact that we preferred bidder, but they will host a great World Cup, and maybe the only silver lining for us is the last time we played there in a World Cup, we won it, and maybe we'll win it again in 2023. Despite last Saturday's result, I'm still trying to figure out which is the worst, last Saturday's result or today. But today has got a material effect on our country. We're a very, very proud country, and that's why we're so disappointed. This would have been great for our country, would have been great for our sport. When the FIFA World Cup was there in 2010, we had more than 20% uptake in football, and we would have had the same, I think here. I'm not even talking about economic influx, and I'm not even talking about the romantic part of having a World Cup in your country. So yeah, disappointed.
In a statement, you mentioned that the process was entirely opaque for the last 2 weeks. Can you just expand upon that in terms of what your grievance is, basically, please?
I think for the last 15 months, the process is very transparent and vigorous. But the last 2 weeks were very opaque. One looks at how the thing was dealt. There was a set of rules. We abided by those rules up till today. Certain rules were broken during that process, which we are upset about. This is the first time ever World Rugby has made a recommendation and they voted against it. So I think going forward, we will, as World Rugby, we will need to modify that process to make sure that the process works better for rugby. The only thing we got left to do is to apologize to the South Africans by creating expectations. We apologize to our country. We congratulate France for winning the bid, but the process needs to be refined as we go along. It's like all things in rugby. We keep on changing the scrum rule. Maybe we'll get it right next time around. Yes, and it's over. We've lost the game, and then we'll move on.
Mark, you just said the set of rules were broken. Can you be more specific, please?
There was a protocol around the way we engage, a code of conduct, and I think it points that there are certain times during the last 2 weeks of the engagement, we never stuck to those rules, and we've never responded to any of the allegations made thus far, and World Rugby responded to that, and so it's done and dusted.
Stephen?
Mark, sorry, I'm just going to ask you for more clarifications, because you said a code of conduct, in the way you engage. There was talk about lobbying and so on in the press, but what exactly do you mean? What were these rules that you felt were broken?
I don't want to go into details about what the World Rugby rules are, but you can find it on the website, so you can look at the rules. One of the things is the way we communicate with each other. Now, at no point in time did South African rugby attack any of the other bidders throughout the process. And you can go and read the articles, and you can find those things on the websites and stuff. But it's disappointing that we run a race and they set the rules, and we have to stick to those rules. But we've moved on now. The bid's over, and we'll go back and fight enough for another day.
Mick Cleary from The Telegraph. Mark, do you think this evaluation report process is a complete waste of time and shouldn't be done again if it's going to be overturned so quickly?
I think it's a good process, firstly, because at least you got professionals looking at your technical aspects of your value proposition. I think it's a good thing. it's the processes from there. And we will make recommendations to World Rugby going forward, and we will work with World Rugby to refine the process.
This is my questions to Yuri Roos, Crystal Arnold from Supersport. Is there anything more that you could have done in this process, do you think?
I absolutely don't think so. The reality is we put forward a good bid, which independent people agreed on. So for the rest of the process, we can only trust that other people see it the same way, which they didn't, and that we got to live with that. We really worked really hard on this over an 18-month period. I think anybody that ever gets to read our document will see that it's a brilliant document. And we just put forward the facts, and in the end, people just disagreed with that and decided somebody else can do it better than we can. So no, absolutely not. I don't think we could do anything different.
Yuri, do you know if basically who supported you? Did your Sansa partners come to the party in terms of their support?
Well, the reality is I mean, we're not stupid. We were able to put that bid together, so I think we can count votes as well. But it's not about that. It's about council members exercising their right that they have, and we're not vindictive. We agree to this process, and you can't agree to the process and then go cry foul afterwards. You stick to the process, you honor the process, and you walk away with integrity and dignity, even if you've lost. If you don't do that, you don't belong around the table, and you don't belong where we're sitting at the moment. So we won't be counting the votes. We won't be phoning anybody. We will do the honourable thing, like we've already done, and say sorry to Ireland, our fellow candidates. We ran a good race, and in their own right had the right to respond to certain things which they didn't agree with. And we had that right as well. We just chose not to do it, and that's fine. And congratulations to France. We're a proud sport, and we shouldn't let things like this take anything away from our sport. We love the sport, we love the game, and we need to fight on like real unions, and steer away from anything that sounds like crying foul or anything else. We'll take it on the chin and we'll move on.
Firstly, commiserations, and also you mentioned, Mark, that this was the first time a recommendation had been voted against. Did you 100% think that you had this? Did you cash the cheque, so to speak?
I think we raised expectations back home that once the recommendation was put forward, we were at least 99% there, but that's how rugby is. Sometimes you play till the 79th minute and you lose the game. That's what we did.
Is there more questions we got to
In fairness,
answer?
I think we were into injury time actually, but
Yuri, what about the future? Are you guys in it again? What's the?
It's not my decision. That's a union decision, and when it comes around the next time, they'll probably make a decision. If you ask me personally, absolutely. You can't win it if you're not in it. It's very simple. It's like the lottery. Although it feels like a lottery now as well. My ticket was obviously the wrong numbers, but no. If it depends on me, absolutely. We're a proud country. We want to showcase our country to the rest of the world. We've got an absolutely fantastic track record in terms of delivering major events. Like the country we're sitting in at the moment, and we'll try again. We have to do it not only for ourselves, but for our union and for everybody else that's sitting back in South Africa and that are bitterly disappointed at the moment. At some stage, we need to bring it back, and hopefully, 2027. I don't know whether Mark and myself will still be around. Mark purely out of age, and I maybe might go do something different. But the reality is we need to try again.
Hosting the World Cup would have been a bit of a shot in the arm for South African rugby, with the Springboks not doing so well and players leaving the country. How is the health of the union now after this result?
Are you suggesting we're not doing well? Based on what? I'm just kidding. The reality is, as I said, I started off is when you host the World Cup, there's an aspirational platform that you create through that. On top of that, you've got a financial platform that is brilliant, and that creates enough revenue so that you can further your development plans, maybe stem the outflow of players that we have against the euro and the pound and the yen, and as it sounds, very soon against the dollar as well. And all of those are things that we now have to face in a different way, you know. But luckily, we do have the British and Irish Lions, coming up very soon, and hopefully that platform will create some new avenues and some new revenues, and maybe create the same type of hype as it did in New Zealand this year. We all saw that, and we're really looking forward to that.
Last question anywhere? Thank you.